This is the devlog for 0.1.19, which is a whole bunch of stuff. A crazy amount of stuff that I'll try not to ramble about. First thing you'll notice is that the ground is really pretty, and that's because I wrote a new shader that it's just really good. It it takes a bunch of different color channels in a texture and then mixes them in HSV space instead of RGB space so that I have more control over the saturation, and we can do transitions via the hue or rainbow spectrum rather than just blending between RGB colors, which tends to result in kind of desaturated or gray nonsense. And we're also blending like each channel of the texture is a different texture. Like there's this mossy texture is in the red channel, this rocky texture is in the blue channel, and this like other mossy textures in the green channel. And then in the alpha channel we got like a whole nother texture that is being blended into the cliffs a little bit. So there's just a lot more diversity in the ground material, and it looks a lot more organic and it's very pretty. Already started rambling. The next thing that I changed is that you can now swing melee weapons while you're flying, or while you're ragdolled. Like while your character's recovering from a landing, you can still be swinging, which increases your options as far as melee combat goes. And I haven't really tested it too much yet. There are a couple things I noticed, like you can fly a lot farther if you just keep swinging. I think that's a feature, so for now we're leaving that in. Besides that, I completely rewrote all of the code for melee weapons so that they now use the same code as equipment, like all of the armor, and the grappling plunger was counted as equipment rather than as a grabbable. Grabbables had been done away with. Everything is now a wearable, and melee weapons additionally have a swingable component attached to them. Besides that, grimoires no longer scale with hand size. As you can see, these hands are ridiculous, and normally the book would be like this big, but instead it's just normal size, and I might even make it smaller, but I think it's a pretty good size. I probably should look at my list. All of those equipment changes, it took a lot of work, but it opens up some more options for me in the future. One thing in particular that I'm excited about is multi-part weapons, like nunchucks, collapsing staffs, flails, a giant pair of scissors. I can do that now. I'm too scared to do it this update, but I'll mess around with that stuff soon. And additionally, I might start working on adding some armor besides the rad baseball. Besides hats. Speaking of which, this update brings in a new wearable called the Anvil. Ouch. It's just a anvil that you wear on your head. Oh no. Oh, that's not good. I might have to fix that. But yeah, it's really heavy. If you try to fly, it yeah, it kind of drags you down. I like it. It offers you a lot of protection on your head. And you can get this item now by beating the Wasp Queen and opening up her treasure chest. which now contains relevant items instead of more spell books. It always drops level 0 Anvil, Raptorial Blade, and Stinger Missile Launcher. My reasoning is that the reason Hogan's hand is all swollen and the reason he's so mad is because they took his anvil. So that might be like a quest feature later, but for now I just threw it in. You get it after you kill the queen. A little quality of life update is that now instead of having to click with the grappling plunger, you can just hold down the button, and once you mouse over something that it can actually grapple to, it will do that. And that makes it a lot easier to grapple to trees when they're on the horizon, like so. So you don't have to time it perfectly. Oops. Ta-da! 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 Yeah. Yeah. I have buffed the Wand of Kinesis. I made it less annoying to use because it's not as loud. I also made the footsteps quieter, if you didn't notice. Those were pretty annoying, I think. Inescapable noise. But the Wand of Kinesis has been buffed. The range is increased. You can once again damage things by slamming them into the ground. And yeah, I made it quieter so it's less annoying. I also discovered this neat trick. Get back here! Oh, also, since you can now swing weapons while flying, you can control the wand properly. But I discovered this free energy machine. You just grapple to something, and then you grapple to it while you're Wand of Kinesising it, and you just, oops, uh-oh. You just get infinite free energy. And I am patenting this. No, I'm just kidding. I think it has its uses, especially once we have more spells. I don't really know what, but it's pretty fun. Oh god. Explosions now emit light. I haven't gotten to all of them yet, but they emit light on like a pretty high radius. Like, at least the tiny suns have a really high radius because they're stars. When they're little, their radius is smaller. Or their radii, or whatever. But I just think it's pretty. Adds to the mood. Once we have lightning spells, they'll probably emit light like that as well. The Flambear also emits light. Gotta hurry. Depending on how fast you're going. This is a vertex light, so it doesn't show very well on the ground. I may increase the number of pixel lights that are allowed at some point, but for now it's adequate. Those are also vertex lights, but since they're far away from the ground and huge, they light up pretty perfectly. Let's see. Oh, another thing I worked quite a bit on was the Ragdoll stabilization logic. Previously, if your flight level was too high, your player would just get torn apart by the stretch forces. much better. But now you can like really mash yourself into the ground, do all kinds of stuff, and you just recover really fast. And I might do a tutorial video on how I did it, or I might just say it. The trick was to, instead of using joint projection, which messes up my stretchy player physics, in Unity you can just detect when a joint is too stretched, and you would think you could just teleport the bodies back towards each other, or actually teleport the transforms of the bodies back towards each other into a tolerable range. But actually, you gotta completely turn off those joints. You gotta set the joint drives to 0 and then teleport. And then next frame, you can switch them back on. And yeah, we got super stable ragdolls now. At least it's only applied to the players so far. That was actually a ton of work. That's part of why this update took so long. Other little changes. I'm looking at my list. I fixed a lot of stuff. One thing you guys might be happy about. Oh, I also changed the car material. Now it really is Sine's sweet red, because it's made out of plywood. One thing you might be happy about is that the sword is no longer dequipped when you enter the car. When I get back out, it's still equipped, so that's much less of a pain. And you no longer drop your weapon when you fall from juice school. Objects are attached to the player much better, like your hat. It still kind of flies off if you like put the anvil back on. If I'm flying really fast, see, it's not really connected to my head. Neither is the sword or the grimoire, but you know, it's tolerable. And then once you stop flying, it gets a lot better. So that's a good thing. Oh wow, that's not good. I just fell through the ground. That normally doesn't happen. Also, I don't know if I mentioned, but the Anvil is the only helmet that actually blocks hits to your head. Like, if you get hit hard enough, there'll still be collisions to your head, but most hats transfer the impact to your head and you take damage. The Anvil does not do that, so it's kind of OP, even though it's really stupid and annoying to wear. God, there's something else. Oh, I upgraded to Unity 2019.4 Long-Term Support Edition, which I am praying will fix some of the strange bugs that I have not been able to reproduce or fix, such as the GUI freakout glitch, which I thought I fixed a couple updates ago. Turns out I was wrong. But I found some bugs in the version of Unity that I was using, and I did some workarounds, and then ultimately decided I should probably just switch to a stable version and see if that does it. So I did, and that introduced a bunch of new bugs, and I spent a lot of this month fixing those, and I probably missed some. So if you find any cool new bugs that I really should get on, and your menu still works, you should go to Settings, Bug Report. You don't have to type anything here, but you can to explain why. Click Save, and save it somewhere and send it to me, and that prints out the error log for me and just helps me debug. So yeah, if you find any cool new bugs, let me know. This is a pretty garbled devlog. I forgot to mention that weapons are now a lot heavier. Take the anvil off. They're on average a little harder to swing, but they follow through a lot better. Like normally a weapon would bounce off of an opponent and it wouldn't feel like you really hit it that well. No more. Now weapons are heavy as hell. I think the rune longsword used to be like have a mass of 2, now it's 7, and that's one of the lighter ones. The raptorial blade is 10, the mace is 10. Oh yeah. Also, giant weapons, I did my best, but they're pretty hard to swing. But I think that's balanced because they're pretty OP. Oh. But like medium-sized weapons are still really good. Man, that's bright. This must be a good biome, as opposed to evil biome. The mace is doing pretty good since the update. I'm not flying, by the way. Oh, I forgot to make it so that melee weapons cost energy to swing. I might do that. I think it'll be minimal though. Since now we're flying and swinging weapons, I think their energy cost could use some reduction. Flying away. Jeez. I'll just quickly list the other bugs I fixed. The car now should spawn near you no matter where you spawn in the overworld. Previously, if you spawned from the toilet or from the bed, the car wouldn't spawn. No more. Also, your gear doesn't intercollide anymore. Like, you know how when I slam into the ground, you can hear like a bong sound. That was occurring when your weapon would hit your helmet, but I fixed that. That was annoying as hell, so I turned that off. Also, players are no longer trapped in the dream or toilet realms. That was a bug I introduced last update, so sorry about that. And jeez, I'm sure I changed some more stuff, but that's I think that's all for now. Plans for the future. Oh, last thing. We got controller support. It still sucks. If you want to use it, go to controls and make sure gamepad enabled is checked. It's disabled by default, because it might be bugged. It might be causing people to spin on some computers. But yeah, we got controller support. Right trigger swings weapon, left trigger shoots whatever is in your right hand, which is backwards because your hands are opposite of the controller mapping. But it's its own playstyle. I'm still figuring it out. As you can see, I'm not very good at it, but it has its own strengths compared to mouse and keyboard that I didn't realize, and it's also just much more comfortable to play with the gamepad, so that's in. I'll make it a lot better soon. For instance, one big problem is that the E button is also the pause button, so if you want to pick up an item off the ground, you gotta pause and unpause. And also, you can't navigate the menus with the controller at all. That'll probably be its own update. I might work on that soon. Yeah, but I also just want to do something fun for the next update. I have several different ideas for buildings, characters, or areas I could bust out. Uh, I don't want to spoil them. I also don't want to confirm something that I'm not sure if I'm going to do. But I do have pages of notes on the story now. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I'm pretty excited to move forward with that. I have a couple characters I want to introduce and actually move the story forward regarding the Juice Queen, Swirly D, the Plywood Sky, uh, and I mean, maybe it's not a secret since the game is named Juice Galaxy. I really want to get us into space and check out like what is beyond the Plywood Sky. So we will have to see what happens. I'll try to make the next update come out a lot sooner than this update was. This update was ridiculous as far as all the stuff under the hood that I was reworking. And I didn't really talk about it much because it was a lot of boring stuff. But yeah, I'll try and post some interesting screenshots for the next update and get that out a lot sooner. So I think I covered everything. I'll see everybody later. Have a good week, or 2 weeks, or however long this takes. Goodbye.